Most of the national projects and institutions Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the first president, created or dreamt of have vanished into oblivion since the coup d'etat that swept his government from power in 1966. But one institution which was his brainchild, the National Symphony Orchestra, lives on.
This windy and dusty road leads to home of the National Symphony Orchestra near the community center in Accra. The National Symphony Orchestra has been around for about 52 years. And surprisingly, upon entering its premises here in Accra, the place seems neglected. And I am told that they don't even have a bus that transports them around during performances. And look behind me critically, there is no signpost to direct people to where the Symphony Orchestra is located. The environment and facilities speaks volumes of the present state of the orchestra. Its rehearsal hall is just too small and not acoustically designed and built for an orchestra. Take a look at this age-beaten gate and windows. The orchestra is however alive and not a relic either. The National Symphony Orchestra is almost as old as independent Ghana. It was established in 1959, 2 years after independence. That was when Ghana's first president, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, wanted everything the new black African nation needed to assert its political, economic and cultural independence. Nkrumah, a lover of music, asked Philip Beho, composer of the Ghana National Anthem and a musical tutor of Achimota School, to establish the orchestra. The orchestra was to develop the performance skills of Ghanaian artists, train children to play musical instruments in order to promote music education in Ghana and to project African art music. Currently, it remains the only black classical symphony orchestra in West, Central and East Africa. Some members recall the heydays of the orchestra.
We're performing at so many places, Christmas performances. We had instruments with full backing from the head of state, was then Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. So there was no financial problem at the time. So everything was in perfect condition.
It was like a model group that Nkrumah had a heart in. There were a whole lot of expatriates in the orchestra that boosts the morale of the orchestra.
The orchestra survived the 1966 coup. Then it started presenting an African composers series. It features the works of composers from Ghana and other African nations to give opportunity and exposure to various African composers who write large as well as small works for the orchestra. It promotes choral art music and has performed with a number of choral groups. The National Symphony Orchestra performed with modern Ghanaian musicians like Daddy Lumba, Kwabna and old ones like the famous drummer Odumankoma Chirema, Kofi Ganaba. Ganaba and the orchestra played Handel's Hallelujah Chorus. Many great Ghanaian musicians also played with the National Symphony Orchestra. Some are dead and gone, but the orchestra lives on. As it strides on for more than half a century, has it achieved the aims of its founding fathers?
One of our mandates is to go around the country and educate and develop Ghanaian art music. We have not been able to do that because we don't have a bus to go around. We don't have a CD, an audio CD, where we can sell and have some income. One of our projects is to have a youth orchestra. Our rehearsal hall at the moment is very small. We need help from corporate bodies, from individuals who can help.
With all the problems, the orchestra has big dreams and plans to play with other famous African musicians as part of merging African and Western classical music.
We are looking forward to having a program with the maestro, dreamt And Hugh Masekela, we started the arrangements 2 years ago, and it's far advanced.
What plans does the government have to ensure the orchestra does not collapse? One genre of music the Ghana National Symphonic Orchestra is noted for is classical music. And classical music is cherished and loved by those who understand and value that kind of music. Pregnant women, I am told, when listening to classical music, deliver bouncy, beautiful and intelligent babies. Doctors also need classical music during operations. So, if you are a lover of the trumpet, the violin, the clarinets, the horns and any other musical instruments, then you wouldn't hesitate to get the best of classicals by the Ghana National Symphony Orchestra. Not everyone loves classical music. For especially most young people, classical music is not their type.
I don't like classical music because I believe it's for the old people because of the beat, the tune, and you know how slow it is. It's not my type of music.
I don't like classical music. I prefer gospel music.
We don't get classical music in Ghana, so we all want to listen to our hip lives, our gospel, our coups.
I do like classical music a lot. Most of the songs that are being produced that come out to the consumers are, I would say, some are not too good for us.
Since the establishment of the orchestra, steps have been taken to make classical music acceptable and appealing to most people, especially the youth, by Africanizing this genre of music, which is largely thought of in some circles as too Western. To address this concern, African instruments and elements have been introduced. Performing compositions by Africans is another way of popularizing classical music. In promoting further African culture, musicians of the orchestra wear a blend of traditional and Western clothes. Their costume includes the traditional smock with a G-clef embroidered at the back, worn over shirts. Wearing of traditional smocks reinforces the strong feeling and expression of Africanness, or what some may call African personality. And what they do is an enriched blend of African and Western music. And do you remember the popular saying of the great educationist, Dr. Emmanuel Kwejiri Agri, that perfect harmony can be produced if both black and white keys of the keyboard are played. And that is exactly what the Ghana National Symphony Orchestra is doing. From Accra, I am Rebekah Awuah.